But it's time to take a look at the Tranch, lovingly called the Tranch. It's actually the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch is a trans haven specifically created to give transgender people a space to thrive. Our journey started in 2018 with 5 trans women who had a dream and a whole bunch of alpacas. We set out to start producing the best alpaca fiber yarn in Colorado, then use the proceeds to help stabilize struggling trans folks and serve the trans community. We are proudly trans run and operated ranch, here to stand as a beacon of hope against our erasure. And they proudly stand in the middle of nowhere. This is near something called Westcliff, which is apparently between it's like in a valley between 2 mountains, southwest of Colorado Springs. And it's truly just out in the middle of nowhere. The pictures of the mountains are really pretty, but that's everywhere in Colorado. And here's the roster. Here's our heroes: Sky, Bonnie, Penny, Jay, and Catherine. So our hero of the night, Ms. Gibes, is on the far right with the biggest moobs. To their right is Jay, who I don't know, but is wearing a t-shirt that has a gay flag, and I believe it says "come and take it." No, it says something else, whatever. And then Penny, who is Catherine's dom, mommy dom. And then Bonnie, who is crazy. And I have some special notes just about Bonnie. I don't have too much to say about Penny, but like I said, I'm leaving some space in case we want to come back and revisit the ranch at some point in the future, assuming they don't assassinate me. And here's another group photo. Trans Salamander is in the green top. Penny to their left. Bonnie is the big chungus and the fore of the camera. And then there's some poor guy who looks like he's depressed and wants to escape, but he's trapped between 2 and doesn't know what to do. And then there's 3 random people in the back. So there are 2 fields to the study of trans salamander. I guess trans salamander is the easier name to go with. They go by Catherine Gibes. They have a previous name. Trans salamander is the online handle, and it's kind of apropos. I mean, a salamander is a very weird, blobby kind of creature, but I mean, I guess salamanders can be kind of cute. Gibes is not cute. There are 2 studies, 2 fields of the Gibes. There is the study of autism and how someone so completely and totally socially inept can try and reconcile their inadequacies by fitting into society through other ways and trying to make kinship in their own weird, perverse ways. Now, there is some fan art for Trans Salamander, in part because they really don't like it, and this is a beautiful image. It looks, I guess I didn't see the full version. Maybe that's what a trans salamander looks like. You take it and then you make it trans, and then you like splash it between gibs, and you get this halfway point. But he says, please report this person for either targeted harassment or hate directed against a protected category. Report other people in that thread too. I've seen such hateful bile in my mentions for days now, and it needs to stop. Now, there isn't any scientific evidence for this, but it'll be pretty apparent as I start showing pictures of other people later in the stream. But there is some hot debate if trans salamander is completely and totally facially blind. It's assumed, there's 2 camps of this. This is a hotly debated part of trans salamander's identity. It's assumed that either A, they are completely and totally facially blind, or B, they're just horny and will say anything to make people feel good. It could be either or. I'm more of I believe is there's a lot of comparison between Gibes and Christian, which is kind of quaint. People always try to relate somebody that they're making fun of to Chris, but Gibes is definitely kind of autistic, and facial blindness is a part of that. So let us begin the actual story, the timeline that I have prepared here. And as with all good internet tragedies, it starts with a single mom. So we take a person like this, This was a man known as Kevin Gibes, and here we see him in his room of toys, and he has received a new Wii, so we can assume that this was some time ago, like in the early 2010s. And young Kevin Gibes is overjoyed with happiness for this new Wii. You can see he's putting on a big smile, so everyone knows that he's very happy to have this new toy. But then we took this Kevin Gibes and we cranked the Stunning and Brave all the way up to 11. And in a very, very short amount of time, this young toy collector became a beautiful woman who now lives on an alpaca farm in the middle of nowhere. And this, like I mentioned, starts with a single mother. This is, again, everything. This is kind of weird. It's kind of a weird reflection on how society is and how we're going to look back on people. Everything we know about trans salamander comes from the 201,000 tweets they've made for over 12 years now. So even what we know about their early life comes from tweets. And I don't know how this is going to affect a historical perspective on people living today, that we have to view bits of their history in 250 character blobs. But Catherine is a Salazal says, and I think that means slut, but weird. There are moments where I'm really sad I didn't get to be a mom, but there are many more where I feel really lucky that I am not. I think I'd make a great mom, but even something simple like, how do I let my children use the internet in 2020, like at all, sounds like a nightmare. I had pretty much unrestricted access to the early 2000s internet after my dad, the only one proficient with computers in our family, died when I was 13. The stuff I learned was really valuable, informative, but you can't let kids do that anymore, or arguably ever. To be clear, this isn't a kids today use the computer too much, but rather fascism is in every YouTube algorithm and present in the language and culture of every online game with voice chat. So when young Kevin Gibes was 13, Papa Gibes died, and Gibes was left to his own devices, and he says very clearly, in one screenshot I don't have saved for OBS, but he basically says that he was raised by 4chan, which is a pretty familiar story, and saying things like, I wish I could go back to those girl kissing threads on B and tell the young boys on those threads that no, that could really be you. That could be you, the lesbians kissing. So this is what happens when you grow up with that direction, I guess. So after he grew up, there's sort of a vague gap. Kevin was 13, grew up, and moved in with his brother and fiance, and his fiance became pregnant. There was some speculation in the household that the fiance's baby actually belonged to his brother, and then she had an abortion, and they threw the brother out. And soon after that, the fiance and Kevin split. And from there, Trans Salamander met Penny, and this is Penny, also known as Steampunk Penny, Gib's current dom, and within, I think, was it somewhere around like 2 years tops, Kevin Gibes began to become Catherine Gibes, and under the dominant direction of Penny, who according to, I mean, it was consensual, but Trans Salamander likes to frame it as like a sissy hypnosis, brainwashing, forced feminization thing. That's one of the many fetishes that he has. So just a little bit more about the trans identity, since this kind of comes out of nowhere. Late in life, Kevin just says, I'm a woman now, and I am also in a relationship with a dominant trans person. Trans Salamander is a human embodiment of cope, seethe, and dilates, in particular due to something I'll bring up in a second, but this is a really fascinating read on how and why trans women get periods. If you're running on estrogen, your genes tell the hypothalamus to cycle your hormone levels, regardless of if you actually have ovaries. Now I have this article pulled up. It's quite long. Read the first paragraph to kind of give us a crash course. Psychodynamic from curvy and trans. Why trans women can have periods. First, let's get this out of the way. Yes, trans women can have periods. No, we do not menstruate. But if your idea of a period is so narrow as to only include a flow of blood, then you're not living in the 21st century. I'm not going to spend time justifying this. It's been done better by others. The purpose of this post is to explain the beginnings of how and why I have come to understand them. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor, but being trans necessitates a degree of understanding of human biology and endocrinology, and I have made a hobby out of learning as much about endocrinology as I can without medical school. Wonderful. I'm sure you can imagine how the rest goes. Basically, cope, seethe, and dilate. It continues. Okay. This is also funny. I also need Firefox to explain this in a second. I see this tweet, right? And it says, I thought I was so low on spoons today because of depression and sure, maybe, but more to the point, 2 days late on my estrogen. I feel so much better now. So what they're saying, Catherine is saying, is that if they take HRT, they get spoons, which was a very confusing statement, and I had to read more. Like in this post, I'm starting to enjoy using Ash's long-range shots. Now, of course, they're trans, so they play Overwatch. This has been established fact. Cora, no justice, no peace, says, Yeehaw, I'm telling ya, we should team up. My shields with your long range, I can herd people into your crosshairs with charge 2. Catherine says, I want to play together, but spoons low today. This left me very confused, so I looked it up, and sure enough, this is a thing. Spoon theory. Spoon theory is a metaphor that is used to describe the amount of mental or physical energy a person has available for daily activities and tasks. The theory was developed by Christine Miseranindo as a way to express how it felt to have lupus. She used spoons to provide a visual representation of units of energy that a person might have and how chronic illness forces her to plan out her days and actions in advance, so as not to run out of energy or spoons before the end of the day. So I guess being trans is like having lupus, and you have to very, very carefully ration out your energy. Otherwise, you'll be playing Overwatch and masturbating, and then you'll just collapse on the floor and have to crawl into bed, and your day is over. Okay. Now, as part of the Gibes universal system of gender theory, it's very open-minded. Basically, everyone should be trans, regardless of what for or how you feel. Here we see, there is no invalid reason to transition. Literally do it for shits and giggles. Do it because it's your fetish. Do it because it looks fun. The only qualifier should be if you want to do it. That's enough, because often that's your heart expressing an important need to you. Transitioning is so much like a fetish fic. I love it so much. And thus, we proceed into chapter 2. The most important thing about Kevin Gibbs' day-to-day existence, their fetishes. Everything about this person's identity, their day, what they think about, what they aspire to be, what they aspire for others to be, involves cooming. Literally, without any exaggeration, that is the entire life of this person. For instance, Musk. I used to know before I was a girl, and it just... Oh, okay. Responding to a message saying, can girls please confirm they don't wash their hair every day? If you don't know, if you have long hair, and I've had long hair in the past, you don't want to wash it with chemicals all the time because that will f up your hair and it will f up your scalp and you'll get dandruff. But Catherine replies, I used to before I knew I was a girl, and it just about f my scalp. The difference is not that girls' hair and men's hair are so radically different that you don't have to use shampoo every day. It's that if you have long hair, you have to be careful not to dry out your scalp. I really only need to do it once a month now for the kind of hair I have, using a shower cap for all the other showers. I don't know, maybe I swung the other way and now I don't do it enough, lol. My hair looks and feels good though, so I'm not really worried. Growing up, my mom thought I had dandruff like my dad, but really it was just my dry scalp constantly crumbling due to destroying my hair daily. I'd get scabs in my scalp. It was really bad. Funny that it took me realizing I was a girl to course correct. That's quite the realization. So it is kind of a joke to say that it's a musk fetish. It's more of just them being really gross, but it continues. It's actually extremely hot when people remind me I'm really gay. There's so much power in knowing I'm gay, and also, it's really, really hot. Okay. This is from Penny, bringing you home. Actually, I don't think that's Penny. I think that icon is Bonnie, who we haven't even talked about yet. But they're bringing you home a present, and then Catherine says, thank you, Mommy. And it's a bag of Beanie Babies, which are worthless now. There is a video that I would like to play for you. This is from PBS, so I'm assuming that it's in public domain. I can play it. I'm going to play it. Anyways, here is them discussing what life on the ranch is like.
I knew that for this venture to work, we would need to be tenacious. And I wanted that reminder up front. And then unicorns are awesome. The mental image of tenacious unicorns running around, that is what I want on this earth. Like, that is what we are. When Trump was elected, things started getting dangerous, and we started really looking at other options as far as like living goes. And then an opportunity to rent a full-on 40-acre ranch came up. And it was like, what is the cutest animal that we can make money with still? and that was, of course, the almighty alpaca.
There's other hay, you know that, right?
I heard about him on a Wednesday. We exchanged DMs. I had a phone call on a Saturday. That Monday, I gave in my 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To just go like, this is right. I have to do it.
Yeah. The world needed it.
Having the community and like a sense of family. Once I got here, like we're all in this together. You know, we're all pulling through. We understand each other.
Try to be understanding about people's limitations, what they can or can't do.
You have to work in horrible conditions at inconvenient times of the day.
We're not called tenacious for nothing.
You need a tenacious core to make this happen, and you gotta be a little freaking magical. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
You gotta just be a little freaking magical.
We do want to get to the point where like trans people can just move up here and just exist.
And not just exist, but thrive. We can shut those gates and cis people go away. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And that's a big thing. Safety.
I just want to pause it for a second. There's a bunch of different flags on the wall. I find these flags in a front to flags everywhere.
And security like that is not something trans people are gifted.
I was able to spend most of my transition living here, which is nice.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Right now, with the housing crisis that's going on, with the evictions that are going on, the trans community has been hit. I can't even explain how badly we've been hit. Like, I get 3 messages a day from new individuals, and that hasn't changed. That's been for months now. It's consistently 3 people a day that are not like about to lose homes, are not about to be in danger. They are either approaching the street or on the street, and they are in danger.
I was furloughed. My parents are very right-wing, so that's been a source of issues. Came here like 3 months ago or so. I literally just messaged them on Twitter and was like, can I come visit? And have been here ever since.
Literally hasn't gone home.
We're on course now to be completely self-sufficient as a ranch in the next 2 years. And that's with up to 20 people here. There's a couple of plots of land.
That's an important thing. They are on track to become self-sufficient. Keep that in mind. That's their claim.
In this area of the valley, and we're just going to buy a couple more plots of land. That way we can build everything up to code before we move people on, and we can be ahead of everything going into the expansion.
We'll casually stroll outside, just stare at the mountains and go like, How did this happen?
That's the motivation. That's why we're tenacious. That's why we're unicorns. Like, we do all of that. That is our life now. Like, we threw ourselves into this 100%, and we haven't stopped. Like, we haven't stopped for a single day, and it's been incredibly rewarding. Surrounded by amazing people 24 hours a day, making it happen. Like, you can't ask for more.
Okay, thank you PBS for that informative video. You got to get a nice introduction to everyone. You got to hear some voices. You got to hear their plans and aspirations. This is not the first trans ranch even. This is very similar to what was lovingly referred to as Blanca, the Trans Lifeline Desert Camp. This one has a much better chance at survival. I think Blanca was completely and totally destroyed because it was just a couple cargo containers in the desert. This one got some arable land, got some alpacas, pretty mountains to look at. So and more people, more manpower. Manpower. So what could possibly go wrong? The answer is everything. Normally, when you want to start something like a farm, what you do is you sit down, you open up Microsoft Word, and you Google or you find a template called business plan. And you sit down and you fill out your business plan and you explain who you are, what money you need, exactly what you intend to spend that money on, what credentials you have to justify the bank giving you this money, when you intend to be profitable, and when you expect to start making enough money to pay back the loan, and when you expect the loan to be paid back. This is typical in capitalism, but because this is the Tranch, and the biggest obstacle to our combating the pandemic is capitalism, things like business plans don't really apply here. So they just wing it. Now, their only source of income for this ranch is alpaca wool, and that is important. And the house, by the way, that they live in is not connected to the grid. Alpaca Mama, this is Bonnie. Bonnie's the crazy one, which sounds weird to say after I spent an hour talking about trans salamander, but Bonnie is dangerous. Found out our electric system is all kinds of in the current state of everyday life has made me in a very ready-to-die state of mind. Anxiety Queen Lexi says, "Oh man, I'm sorry to hear. I've actually been wondering how y'all have been doing with the power problem. Just got a solar guy to come and check it out, and he was not impressed. Nothing is to code, and the battery bank is to him unsalvageable. Already a $3,000 to $5,000 problem until we learn that the wind turbine is probably dead as of several years, and our backup generator isn't even wired in." Holy hell, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, we're currently going to try and see if we can't get a couple more hours and days of runtime out of the batteries we have until they can be replaced. So that self-sustaining power isn't working out. Probably should have gotten money up front to repair these things if you really wanted to have a wind turbine, but that kind of forward thinking is not necessarily a part of their collective consciousness. Aaron says, "Are you entirely off the grid at this place?" Yep, only lines out here that I can see are telephone. I guess they use their cell phone for shit posting on Twitter. And aw shit, shouldn't this kind of stuff have come up before closing? We got an inspector, but it was the same guy that shittily installed it to begin with, and we never got a proper report from him, just in all is good. So the state of the ranch is a group of almost 100 alpacas in a shitty barn, which I will show in a second. And it is completely off the grid and left to the devices of these crazy people. So money, by the way, here we have, I showed you before, young Kevin Gibes with his wee making a big smile. Much older Catherine Gibes is still a bit of a consumer. They love dinosaurs and they love toys, and they especially, very ironically, love Transformer dolls, which is not a joke. I thought that was a joke at first, but it's not. They actually collect Transformers. And they will buy $1,000 Unicron collectible edition toys from decades ago and just keep them, I guess. I hate to ask, but okay, left side. I bought a few essentials today, pictures of toys. Right side. I hate to ask, but I need about $182 for bills. Anything you can give helps, but retweeting helps too, truly. Thank you, heart emojis. Venmo, Cash App, DM for PayPal address. Heart emojis. Yep, gonna have to get me one of these. Look at that adorable headmaster. And then there's some Unicron shit down there. Toys. So ridiculous to get mad at me for buying toys and sharing pics of them while also sometimes doing fundraisers for the ranch. When if you really think it's self-evident that I'm scamming people, no one's going to donate, huh? By your logic, I'm myself over, so what's the issue? I guess it's because you think you're privy to some special understanding of the situation that no one else can see. You know, maybe Occam's razor that shit. So, food, $200. Data, $150. Alpacas, $800. Toys, $3,600. Fixing the solar array, $150. Someone who's good at the economy, please help me budget this. My family is dying. Spend less on toys. No. And I think Gibes explains further this economic inquiry. I contribute $1,000 a month towards the Tranch, about $100 a month towards the Patreons of friends and loved ones, all of them trans, another $100 a month towards the OnlyFans of friends and loved ones, all of them trans as well. Always make sure to support your friends and loved ones through their OnlyFans account. I share and signal boost every fundraiser I see. I often spend some of the small remainder of my money on toys because they make me happy. I don't quite understand the logic of those implying I'm hurting the ranch or scamming people by doing so. I'm sharing this because a former mutual got pretty pissed that I pre-ordered a toy while also asking for help for the ranch and other tweets. When it's losers from a stalking website, it doesn't bother me, but I admit it gets under my skin when it's a former friend. This is the first time I've given details about my finances because it's not no one's business, but I'm sharing this now to illustrate that you cannot. So as you can see, when a bunch of transgender people open a ranch together without the faintest idea of how to finance a ranch, it can lead to some catastrophe. And I'm a huge enjoyer of catastrophe when it impacts people who are assholes or weirdos and they deserve it. But unfortunately, tethered, chained to the fates of these desperados out in the middle of nowhere are 96 alpacas. So we bring us to chapter 2 of the second half, the animal welfare group. And this is probably, there's nothing, well, I want to say there's nothing too bad, but it is kind of bad, kind of oogly. If you're a big animal person, you're probably going to get angry. But we kind of have to talk about it, so full steam ahead, I guess. We finished extending the mama's barn today. Smiley, blushing face. Yeah, teamwork. So we have a torture dungeon here. It appears to be a collection of particle board hammered together with nails, and straw is laying all over the ground. There is no like insulation. There doesn't seem to. I guess you can't put a heater in there because it's particle board and hay, and that would pose a danger. You probably can't even run a heater in there because the power doesn't connect to it at all. So it's literally just a wood shack with glass panels, and it looks like the roof is even open. I see a light shining in from the ceiling. So probably a decent barn, someplace warm. Unfortunately, Colorado is not particularly warm. So let's watch some videos that have brought some concern to the animal lovers of the forum, the farmers of the forum. Oops. Gotta switch back for this.
Come on, girls.
So this is a different shed. It's kind of aluminum. It looks like a storage shed. but literally looks like a 2-car aluminum garage. And there's 96 alpacas in there. They're kind of leading out. I just want to say, alpacas are the cutest things I have ever seen. Look at those things. How do they have such bright, shiny eyes and such cute faces? It is unfair.
Little babies.
Alpaca wits. Real talk, alpacas are nasty animals. You, sir, are a nasty animal. I see your anime avatar. Off. These things are cute. That one looks like it has an eye infection.
Yeah.
That one looks like it was laying on the ground because it's so crowded in there. This was linked to me as a result of discussion about this topic, which I'll show it now. This is an article from Whitney Farm, and it says, in regards to alpacas, compared to many farm animals, alpacas are very easy to care for. Typically, day-to-day care depends on the seasons as well as the facility. Ideally, alpacas would have adequate grazing area so that for 6 months out of the year, they would not need hay or grain. As many as 6 alpacas can be sustained on an acre of good quality pasture. As we are still developing our pasture areas, we need to provide hay year-round. Alpacas eat 1.8% of their body weight in dry matter per day. This is actually barns. Okay, this is it. In general, alpacas do not need a fancy barn, so you could theoretically put them in a shed, I guess. But it says here that it is recommended that each alpaca have 8 square feet. So that is, if you are a European, 8 square feet is about 1.2 meters squared. So they need at least a meter each. That's their personal space. We go back to here, and we're just going to take a look at the... need a good pic. Actually, you know what? There's another video that I can show you that shows this a little bit better. And this is alpacas too. So here's a close-up. These alpacas clearly do not have a square meter to themselves. Oh, that thing in the front is so cute, and it looks so thin. I don't know. Like, look at how narrow it is at the hips. I don't know if that's normal because I'm not like an alpaca expert. I do know that thing is cute as shit, and it's looking right at me. And it does not have a meter to move around in. Someone says very thin. So you need a 768 square foot garage. That's definitely not what we're looking at in this. You can see its spine. Yeah. So there's something else about this video. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me pull up a picture of this real quick. I kind of want to demonstrate this, but I need a little help from an alpaca to prove my point. So here is a random picture I downloaded off the internet. This is some alpacas in the snow. Alpacas are very woolly, right? And they are capable of withstanding the cold. However, they require something called wool to do that. And if you look at the video, you'll notice that these are all freshly shorn alpacas. So if you want to have your alpacas survive the winter, you probably shouldn't shear them. But there's a catch-22 here. The Tranch has one line of profit. It sells alpaca wool. So if you want to have money, you have to shear your alpacas. Unfortunately, the alpacas need that wool to not freeze to death. And ironically, there is some tweets on the show that kind of hint that the alpacas are suffering due to the weather. But ironically, the fact that they don't have adequate space in the shed is probably helping them survive because they can get next to each other and warm each other up even when it's really cold out in the middle of Colorado.
There you go, boys. Have at it.
All right. We'll go, friends.
I didn't even see the goats. That's a lot of alpacas. They are separated. Someone asked, are they boys or girls? And the answer is that they are separated. But I have a point about that in a second. They also have chickens. We saw goats there. And there's some issues with all these animals. Make sure I'm not... Okay. That is awesome. Just an endless line of alpacas. I can't believe you folks have so many. 96, I believe, is the current count, so probably about 48 on each side of that fence. You've got a mighty herd. They're adorable, and it looks like you're set up well for the winter. We're so happy to get this place. We lost a couple to the cold last year, crying emoji. That's horrible. Poor little pacas. I hope they all make it through this year. Shouldn't be an issue, though we do still have an older lady we're keeping an eye on. A loss like that is expected, but I hope your elder paca has a few more years left in her. Also related to this issue of freezing temperatures with no electricity to warm anybody, Anarcho J Bean, and I guess J is, or Josie is the J from the barn. I believe it is. The chickens have been living in our feed shack instead of the coop. They are totally fine with it. But if they lay eggs, they are frozen in the morning. Ideas for a cheap little insulated nook for them? Until the greenhouse is set up, they're living in the sheep run. First thought is cardboard boxes stuffed with newspaper and stuff, but that doesn't seem like enough for this weather. So the eggs are frozen solid when they get them, and they're just like, what can you do? I guess we should get a cardboard box with some newspaper in it. Now this received some attention from, well, the Tranch did, from the National Farmers Union. Now, the National Farmers Union is probably a union of farmers. They got a verified blue check mark, so they must be important. Many people think rural America is overwhelmingly white, straight, and conservative. In reality, it's actually fairly diverse. Just ask the transgender alpaca ranchers behind Tenatious Unicorn Ranch. We belong here. Queers are reclaiming country spaces. And then there's a picture of Bonnie petting their dogs while holding a big-ass gun. And then Purple Gator, not to be confused with Gamer Gator, says, thank you for bringing this animal neglect to a more public domain. These poor things don't seem to have enough space or feeders for their hay, and their incriminating videos previously commented by others being deleted by one of the owners just makes things look more suspicious. So, Purple Gator, not to be confused with Gamer Gator, who is a furry by the look of their display picture, took a look at this and said, these alpacas don't have enough space, or heaters, or hay, or specifically feeders for the hay to keep the hay clean of fecal matter and pee-pee. Because when you're packed into alpaca wits, you're probably going to have to pee-pee on the hay that's below you. Now, I don't think this led anywhere, because as you'll see, the replies from Tenatious Unicorn Ranch say, our animals get top-notch care. Verifiable top-notch care. Actually, as y'all called the sheriff's department, they came out while we were hosting a news crew, so we have them dropping the case on film. Y'all don't know shit about caring for animals. Bonnie, the crazy person, says, they are literally laying in hay. Which, as I've explained, the difference is that the hay on the ground is covered in poo-poo and pee-pee, which alpacas do not eat, usually. And Boneless Gender Bucket says, lol, we have the local sheriff on film saying they look great. So take that, bigots. We can run alpaca wits however we want. And to be fair, it is very, very hard in the United States to get an animal taken away from an owner. There has to be serious, obvious neglect. Things being run, less than ideal is not, because like what's going to happen to the animals if they get taken? They usually get put down. They're not going to be redistributed or whatever, because it just doesn't happen that way. So I know a lot of people, when animals get brought up on the forum and they think that the animals deserve better, they get really reasonably upset, understandably upset, and they want something done, but like like you can't say to the police, hey, you guys should take Amberlynn's dog because she's 600 pounds, and if she sits on that shitty little dog, she's going to crush it. That's not justifiable reason to take someone's animal. So chances are, unless like animals seriously start dropping in this ranch, they're not going to do anything. Just so you know, not trying to get anyone's hopes up. It is sad that because it's a matter of pride. What they're trying to say is that we are trans and we can be alpaca ranchers, we can be farmers, we can reclaim farming for queer people, and we don't need a business plan, we don't need electricity, we don't need anything. We can just take a plot of land in the middle of fucking nowhere and make it work, and there's nothing you can do about it. And they're going to let that point of pride dictate the ongoing management of the farm. So sorry, alpacas, you're all very cute, but God spites you with cruelty. Josh, like 30 died in the winter. Really? They said only a couple. I didn't see 30. That's really sad. Maybe they should find some way to warm the alpacas up by letting them grow their hair out. That would be a good start. Maybe put a roof on your barn. That would also help. Okay, now the less important aspect of the Tranch is the human welfare. How are people doing on the Tranch? Now, I've been kind of hyping this up, but we're going to meet Bonnie here. But specifically, how is Ms. Gibes doing? Catherine says, I can't live here anymore. I have no space. I have no money. I can't breathe, metaphorically, not like in the George Floyd way. I love my polycule, so I can't leave, but I hate it here so much. I can't do anything. I've been suffocating for 8 goddamn months. My computer won't turn on. I mean, it will, but it like doesn't do anything except be on. Like nothing else happens. No boot up, nothing. I can't afford a new computer, god damn it. And then in response to this, I need this roommate to find another place to live as it's destroying everyone's mental health, but they're convinced there's nowhere for them to go. And maybe they're right, but it's still untenable. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that this tweet that you're looking at right here, which is very recent, it's only January, is about Bonnie. Because Bonnie, this is Bonnie, by the way. I don't know what it is about trans people of color letting their gunt hang out. Anna Valens does it too. It's very weird and not very flattering. But this person is literally former U.S. military. God bless our troops. Thank you for fighting for our freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan and dying for Israel. But I think that they're crazy. And I base this on the fact that, I think that they own the property. Their mother owns the property. I'm pretty sure it's Bonnie. Bonnie's mom owns the property and lets them live there. They're former service member. They have 2 children, as many trans people do. And I would like to read you something. Let's switch over to Firefox real quick. Parts of me, the not so glam reality that is Penelope's transition. Oh, Penelope. Did I mix Bonnie and Penelope? That would be embarrassing. Steampunk. Oh, this is Gibes Dom. Okay. I guess I should have read the title of the article before associating it with Bonnie. So Bonnie is the service member. They were in Germany, but there's a very specific part that I want to read. 6 years after I stepped off the plane at DIA, a free woman, I was more damaged when I left, which is saying Allet. All connections with my soul was gone. PTSD made every day a walking nightmare. I was in every single way a walking shell of a person. I found work and walled myself away from everyone. I had one encounter during my time in the military, and directly after, this resulted in my second son, who brought me out of my haze, but moved away shortly after his birth. He was assigned female at birth, but at 4 began his transition. In him, I would see the growth of time. He will never suffer like me, not for one day. He will be disallowed Not for one day will he be disallowed himself or made to feel like the odd man out. I am so very, very proud of him. I wandered aimlessly until this dam burst 5 years later. So Penelope, the mommy dom, who is now the mistress of Catherine Gibes, had a 4-year-old daughter who they groomed into being a female to male. He continues, I quit my job. Public interaction was just too much. I went to school and became a broker, then recused myself to my home. Me and my sister bought a duplex together. I traded all day and shrank into the void. Eventually, even that was too much, and I sought help from a psychiatrist. I will end this segment here right before I became healthy again, right before it all turned around. But be sure to keep an eye out for the final chapter of the trilogy of my transition. Love to all of you. I hate ending on a sad note. This is me as a child helping to build my grandparents' home. So that was Penelope. I thought that was Bonnie. I don't know why. I guess because Bonnie's the one that loves the gun so much. They always have one around. But this, for sure, is Bonnie. This is an interesting story by itself. Bonnie says, still holding out hope that my dad dies. This will be my first purchase. And it's a picture of a truck, because I guess they don't have any vehicles for their farm either. That would go on the business plan, by the way. We need a vehicle loan. This is a picture of Bonnie's dad, the person that they want to die. You might be thinking, oh, that's sad that Bonnie wants their dad to die. Let me shrink this so I can put them side by side so you can see the resemblance. Which there is, which is shocking. Because the dad is kind of weird looking. You might be thinking, that's really sad that Bonnie wants their dad to die. Well, don't feel too bad, my friends, because Bonnie is a convicted offender. They were put on the offender list in New York, and then they had a stroke. And you might be thinking, wow, a transgender person whose father was a offender? This is shocking. I've never even heard of that before. But Bonnie says, as I wait to find out if my father suffered a stroke, I'm left to ruminate on the man he was. He is someone I reluctantly call a bad man. I always feared the details of his crime. I never ended up calling him because I couldn't let him destroy what good I still thought of him. He taught me a lot growing up, always encouraging my creativity. He is absolutely the reason I am a maker. He listened to me and really tried to understand me. Though the trans stuff was hard. He may have taken my mom's side a lot and hit me on occasion, but I could forgive him for that. Unlike my mom, he never tried to manipulate and control me. He wanted me to be happy doing what made me happy. But I could never forgive him for what he did to my brother's family. I am so grateful I wasn't born a girl. I can accept his death, but I will miss who he was. My mentor, my savior, my inspiration, my dad. And if you're wondering, Bonnie did not get a truck from the dad dying because I think they spent all the money. Let me retract. I see a comment. I did not mean to call Bonnie the offender. It is Bonnie's dad who is the offender. Just to clarify, I retract that statement. I have no evidence that Bonnie's dad is a offender. Now, I called Bonnie crazy, however, because as you can imagine, or at least how I imagine, Bonnie has constructed a situation where to keep people complacent as the number 2 in the household, everyone must live in fear all the time. Because as you can imagine, everything in the Tranch was fine until the vile forces of darkness arrived. And the Tranch has been under siege ever since. So let's read some tweets from the Tenatious Ranch. Their stated goal is to burn us out of the valley. Intimidation is part of that, along with other tactics. We've won. We won't be giving though, and they are starting. We won't be giving up though, and they are starting to get pissed because of it. They have already entered the property armed at night, so it's far beyond mild fear tactics. They've been putting this out there for months, that the vile forces of darkness, the fascists of Colorado, have been invading their property at night with weapons to try and intimidate them. There have been no police reports, no footage of this whatsoever. which I guess makes sense because they don't have any electricity. So how could they record it? They can't really put up a Amazon doorbell and show the fascists waving the swastika flag outside their home and threatening them because they don't have any power. It continues. Bonnie says, the local militia is super cowardly but very dangerous, usually avoiding direct confrontation and working in the dark. They've overinflated tires, I guess like the tires of that truck that they never got, burned down houses when occupants are on vacation, etc., but were way overprepared to let them pull that shit on. So the local Nazi militia of Colorado does two things predominantly. It will put too much air in your tire to cause it to pop on the road, and it will burn down your house. That's a bit of a discrepancy. But it continues. The militias out here found out we are a hard target. Next, we'll make every leftist, we'll get to the liberals later, out here a hard target. So Bonnie's helping everyone by spreading fear about this militia that apparently exists. And this is Penelope. This is the mommy dom saying, if I die here, and listen, I won't die easy. But if I do, it will be defending who and what I love. I've made my peace, and will gladly bleed to move the line forward and show that bullies will not rule the day. Talk about change is always easier than creating it. Both are necessary. This reads like a Free France diary, but there's no evidence that this has ever happened. Bonnie makes tweets like this saying, had a car stopped in front of our neighbors for a bit, and as soon as I had my scope targeted for a peek, they peeled off. Westcliff, get a handle on your fascists. So people are visiting their neighbors, hey neighbor, I brought you some eggs and some alpaca wool. And they're like, oh, thanks, neighbor. And they look over and they see the glint of the sniper rifle in the far off ranch. And gotta go, friends. See you next time. And then they leave because this retard is pointing a gun at them, which I don't know. This seems like an admission of a crime. You're putting a loaded weapon at someone's car for doing nothing but visiting their neighbor. Was it a red car? Now, there is some doubt. Is there any understanding of who the fascist groups harassing them? Names, websites they frequent, not the Kiwi Farms. Have you all considered going to the media about this? I know that would run the risk of drawing more attention from the wrong people, but it also might scare away your harassers. If they think the spotlight may fall on them, that is assuming any media cares. It seems like they're trying to bait you into defending yourself with force to excuse escalation on their part. Can you reach out to any animal rights group near you? Anyone who can offer assistance? What a horrid situation. You must be so terrified for the animals. They are so sweet and innocent. How about the local newspaper? Could you gain support through ads expressing need for help? Now keep in mind, there's a tweet that I don't have clipped, but keep in mind that they said that the local sheriff went to their house while they were filming a news story, and the sheriff said, your alpacas look fine, there's nothing to do here, bye-bye, and they left. But Bonnie says that there is no way for them to contact the media or the police about the fascists trying to kill them, burn down their house, and overinflate their tires, while they have both the media and the police visiting their house with no incident. So I don't know why they're doing it, except for the fact that they might get a lot of GoFundMe donations to help fight fascism, with no evidence of that fascism existing, because they don't make any money off their alpaca wools, because their alpacas are dying of the cold. That could be it. Now, there is 2 more people to talk about on the ranch, and that will be a wrap. So let me flip back to Firefox, because I have some stories for y'all. So this is a person named Grace, and the story comes from June of last year. Grace says, ask me about how they would make a disabled person work long hours in the field, then shame her for being in bed with severe back pain the next day, or how they locked a queer woman out of the ranch with a shoot-on-sight order when she had to go to the psych ward for a mental breakdown. Let's see, is that just... Oh, here we go. Oh, this is comments. These people are promoting it. The Benjamin... What the kind of name is that? Benjamin Shredang. That's an awful name. He should change his name to something less stupid. But Grace replies to Binjanun saying that you should check out this trans ranch by saying, "Oh, neat. I was told my family and I could go there when we were facing houselessness like 3 times, and each time we were suddenly told, actually, no, never mind, good luck, you're on your own." My favorite was, "Yes, you and Finney and Rihanna can come here," and then 2 months later, "Nah, 3 people are too many, good luck though." It's cool to have housing stability dangled in front of your face just to have it yanked away as you get close with an "oops, too slow." Benjamin Sredakukau says, "Sorry to hear that." And Grace replies, "Ask me about how they would make a disabled person." Oh, that's the same thing. I'm not going to ask you twice. This is also interesting. Grace continues, "I got violated while high at the Tenatious Unicorn Ranch, and the only thing that it got me was kicked off the project for being too depressing. As recently as a few months ago, I had housing stability for me, Finney, and Raina promised to me on the ranch. Just have to contact Flake constantly, just to have my contact Flake constantly every time I have questions, only to come back and tell me actually 3 people is too many. The Alpacas were straight up starving to death for a while. One of our last housemates moved in with us at the behest of her friends because the place was using and abusing her. They locked a queer woman out of the property with a shoot-on-sight order because she had a huge mental breakdown and had to go to the psych ward. They put a disabled woman, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you should give your money to indigenous projects instead of funding yet another white colonist settler utopian thing on stolen land. Anyway, I'm sure I'm going to get yelled at for this, but at this point, I don't give a f***. I'm tired and getting yanked around by so-called friends who play with my hopes of, not dying in the streets." So that is one wonderful testimony. I think these are the same tweets. Now there is one other person. This person does not yet have a place on the ranch, but they are preparing to move there as soon as they can. But there is one condition. There's one thing they have to do before they can move out to Colorado and enjoy tranquility, and that is get out of prison. So here I would like to meet, or for you all to meet, Christina Alicia Lynch. Christina is an incarcerated trans sibling that needs our love and support. Please give money to fund her surgical, or to her surgical fund if you can afford to, and if you can't give right now, please retweet so that someone with the money to give right now might see this. And this is actually them. I do not know how they are tweeting from prison. I believe that there is a system of butt phones that they are using to stay engaged with the internet, because being terminally online at this point cannot be abated even in jail. So they say from prison, "From the bottom of my purple heart, thank you so much to the trans sisters and extraordinary others who have shown their love and support by contributing to my sex change surgery GoFundMe. It means more to me than I can say thank you." And this is the picture of them in prison, which is very impressive. They're actually doing a selfie in what looks like a solitary confinement cell. So that butt phone is getting its money's worth. 1,000 people, or $1,600 has been pledged to this as of this point. Across the country, transgender people held within prison industrial complex face a litany of deprivations. Trans people are incarcerated at more than twice the rate of the general population. More than that for trans people of color. For many trans women incarcerated here in Georgia, like myself, the most significant deprivation is that of medical and mental health care. So the story is that Christina Alicia Lynch was arrested by the man for doing work. And as we all know, work is work. So it's total bullshit that Christina Alicia Lynch would be arrested for doing a job like any other person would be doing a job. However, someone very astute noticed that they are sentenced to prison for 3 years. But yet, the maximum sentence possible for prostitution in Georgia is 1 year. And 1 year is less than 3 years. So what is happening? The story is falling apart at the seams. What could it be that Christina Alicia Lynch was actually convicted of, if not prostitution? And the answer is trafficking of a minor under 18, Douglas County, 20 years. Pandering by compulsion, 10 years. Exploitation, 10 years. Exploitation, 10 years. Attempted armed robbery, 10 years. So they're just now getting out after being convicted years and years ago. Because as it says, 14 years for drag queen. A drag performer will spend at least the next 14 years in prison after pleading guilty, and this was in 2012, after pleading guilty Wednesday to out and manipulating a 16-year-old in Douglasville. Christopher Lynch, who performed as Passion Nicole, pleaded guilty in the 2 counts of exploitation of a child, 1 count of out a victim under the age of 18, and 1 count of pandering by compulsion. Judge sentenced to a 30-year sentence with at least 14 years behind bars. They asked for more, they wanted less, and then I was wrong, a tearful Lynch said in court on Wednesday. Both men were arrested in early March 2011 after an investigation found in January that found adult and minor victims in Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina over 2 to 3 years. Oh, they investigated for 2 to 3 years. Both have been held without bond since then. So they worked as a go-go dancer. Lynch and his boyfriend lived in Lemery's house in the 3600 block of Long Lake Drive near Stewart Mill in the Chapel Hill Roads. Also living there was Lemery's wife and children, the wife's boyfriend, and various victims of trafficking, Project Q said. One of those victims, Project Q said, was a transgender 16-year-old boy who was forced to live in a closet, was out several times a day, and was addicted to... Holy shit! Ackley said she was pleased to get justice without forcing the teen victim to relive those experiences during trial, Douglas County Sentinel said. So there you go. Free your mind and the rest will follow. Prison bars can't contain my hopes and dreams. 2023 is waiting on me. And finally, on my period, because even being a weirdo trafficker behind bars cannot stop the AGP fetishism. And this is a Tranch aspirant. I wish them luck being added to the roster, though, due to budget cuts, because the Alpacas keep dying. They may not have any space. They may all be starved to death or shot by fascists by 2023. But if not, there is a chance for a part 2 to this stream where we look at the mishaps of this wonderful place and the people living there. So with that said, I apologize if you're a big fan of the Tranch and Kevin, and I missed something glaring, which I should have covered. That thread is 1,000 pages long. I've tried my best to digest as much as possible in the time that I had to prepare for the stream. I think I've covered it. If you're interested in Ms. Gibes, the trans salamander, you are, of course, free to read the forum thread. It is open to the public. Interesting thing has happened since the person stream I did on Monday, where another person I did a person stream on, Tommy Tudor, has contacted the Tranch to ask to join it, to express interest in joining it. So I want to just play the phone call. Tommy Tudor was nice enough to record his phone call, which is not a great introduction to a group of people. Like, hey, I want to join your community, your intensely private ranch out in Colorado. Also, I'm recording my call with you to post it on the internet so that the Kiwi farms can find it. But I'll play that now and make sure my NPC player is up.
Natural gender role, and I came out about 10 years ago. But I've been like part of the rainbow hippie trip for 40, now. I was just hiding behind a beard. So here I am in Tucson, and I have a business that's starting to thrive. We're a artist cooperative, and I do stonework. I cut gemstones and carve, but my education is in ecosystem engineering, fisheries biology, polyculture, aquaponics, sustainable energy transient capture technology, stuff like that.
It's crazy to me whenever I listen to Tommy. Whenever he's like in the zone and he's trying to like actively impress someone, he comes across as like really mellow, really like put together, knows what he's talking about. Just a nice old hippie man. And then like that, like at a drop of a hat, he flips his shit completely and starts screaming on the telephone. Like there's the video from the person stream I played of him talking to the FBI. He's like calling to the FBI and he's saying blah blah blah, trying to get them to do investigations and shit. And then the guy tells him that they're not going to do that, and he's just screaming at the FBI over the phone. The call's not that long; it's like 2 minutes, so I'll play the rest of it.
And I thought if we could find some fit, I might be of use to you guys. I definitely would like to interview somebody and help with your publicity.
Sure. No, we'd love to get to know you better.
That's Penny talking.
Well, I don't know. So we're pretty crammed up for the next couple of weeks. We always welcome visitors, but you're further away.
Oh, well, I have no intention of getting anywhere near there for months.
Yeah.
We're my partners and I are talking about the summer selling season in Southern California, and we'll possibly turn around and come toward Colorado before the summer's over, but
Sure.
definitely for the next, June, July, May we're working here in town, and then June and July we'll be working in Southern California.
He sells rocks,
For
in
sure.
case you
So
don't
we
know.
can just do a Zoom call or something.
Right.
With you, me, Bonnie, and Jay, and we'll just talk about everything and see what you're up to, and you can figure out what we're up to, and we can definitely talk.
Cool.
But it'll have to be next week. Jay is away in Texas, and Bonnie isn't feeling very well.
Yeah, someone pointed out that Kevin is specifically omitted from that list of people that are going to be on that Zoom call. That's very strange. Why does he have no say in what happens? Who gets added to the Tranch?
So I'm just kind of
Okay. Well, I'll send you a link to I'll send you my phone number right now in the chatter, and a link to my business page.
okay, great. And then I will just shoot you a text, and later in the week, and we can figure out a time for next week.
Cool. Sounds like a winner. What was your name again, please?
I'm Penny.
Penny?
Yep.
Okay, this right here. Listen to the sound of his voice. I don't know what the fuck it is. He's trying to sound like super feminine or something, but it creeps me out.
Penny? It's nice talking.
I'm Penny.
Penny?
Yep.
Okay, Penny. It's nice talking to you.
Good talking to you as well.
Looking forward to meeting the gang.
Yeah, well, soon. Yeah, have a wonderful day.
Great, you too. Happy day. Bye-bye.
Okay, gamers. Now is the time we're going to practice our psychic materialization again. And we're going to wish into existence that Tommy Tudor makes a successful application to join the Tranch, because that sounds hysterical. And I wonder if Tommy only found out about it because of the stream. Maybe he's an avid fan of the streams. So good luck, Tommy, to joining that group of misfits. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. Be sure to talk about it and stream about it if you get there. Another person who decided that this was a big deal to them, despite not having a uterus to make babies with, was Catherine Gibes, or Kevin Gibes, or Trans Salamander, also known as Am Hole, also known as one of the people from the Tranch. So I have received a Tranch update from the people who follow the Tranch in response to my last stream where I say, I don't know what's going on with the Tranch. One of the mods, O1, was willing to give me a write-up. So despite waking up in great moods, Kevin found out that Roe V. Wade is in danger of being overturned. And as someone who is a trans woman, and this is a woman's health issue, obviously they're very affected by it. Trans Salamander says,
Fun fact, the people in power have names and addresses. Oof. Oh, here's a fun fact. If you want to speed run any percent your own life and or getting swatted by the police, threaten a Supreme Court justice on Twitter and see what happens to your little gay compound in the middle of Colorado. But Kevin was not abated by this, not satisfied with one stupid post. He continued. Oh no, is this going to take forever to load up? I know it's kind of cringe to post V for Vendetta in current year, but this is the only thing playing on repeat in my head today. And it's a quote from the movie saying, people should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. And this is in response to the SCOTUS blog. They think they should be afraid of leaks and a breakdown of trust. Cute. Implying that they should be afraid of am-holes and juicy GD pussies, neo-vaginas. I'm afraid of that. I don't know what Justice Alito's opinion is on that, but I can probably guess. Not sorry, but the more rights you strip away from people, the more people are going to realize they don't have much to lose. Seems like you're a supremely dangerous thing to do to yourself as a politician, but what do I know? It's still going to be a scary fight that shouldn't have to be fought, but I know for a fact the Supreme Court greatly underestimates the wrath they're bringing up on themselves and anyone who supports them. If they think the system will protect them, that's legitimately hilarious. And he continues, you can't roll back bodily autonomy for at least half the population by a century and a half, or half a century, and expect people to just take it because you technically kind of sort of did it by the rules if you squint a bit. All this could be 100% above board, and they'd still be asking for riots at minimum. So, very nice. Lots of threats. He's in the UK right now, or Turf Island, as he calls it. So, when he gets back into the US, he might get stopped in the airport for threatening the Supreme Court, which I would advise against. Now, in case you're wondering from all this, what my actual opinion is on Roe v. Wade, I have a handy-dandy diagram to help you understand. There are the little brain people who are pro-choice. There are the big brain people who are pro-life. But then down here, there's me, the galaxy brain boy, saying, what race is the baby? My answer depends entirely on that. I am genuinely worried because we don't know, like 80% of abortions are by black people. So their population has stayed pretty steady. I think they've gone down from 13% of the population to 12% of the population because they're getting replaced by Mexicans. So I don't know. I hope this doesn't cause like a huge, population growth. And it, to phrase it in a politically correct manner, I am concerned for the socioeconomically disadvantaged and how this will disproportionately impact them. And I do hope that our cities are ready for an unexpected growth in those people who are currently impoverished and their families. I think that maybe reproductive health services should be continued to be offered to those who are in these poor socioeconomic areas. That is my galaxy brained informed opinion about abortees, as Walls Flat Out says. Something to do when you're feeling sporty. 10 out of 10. Thank you. I accept your praise. Pause load my neg hole from Pizza Sexy. Anyways, Kevin Gibes, this is a request from 001, a moderator whose name I cannot pronounce because his name doesn't have an actual name attached to it. He gave me some footnotes about the Tranch. So, to go over it, Kevin Gibes is the am-hole. I did a whole stream about the Tranch a while back. And Kevin, a.k.a. Catherine, a.k.a. Goat Arc, because he's still into Fuda goat girls or whatever. Which, this is probably the same story that happened to Ken Ashcore, based on like his like pictures of shit. This is a man who's watched like too much like Yuri femdom shit as a developing young man, and it's now like, I wish I was a femdom Yuri panda girl. And the same thing happened to Kevin. And he probably shouldn't. I take it back. I don't wish bad things. Don't churn out. I'll show you why
Kendra. I'll show you why you shouldn't stream out. Kevin is currently defending some guy that he knows who's a furry artist, and he's actually a known convicted. This message by has actually changed his name. His birth name was Joshua Neil Barney, as he was convicted. This is his mugshot as a child offender. He now goes by Farrah Barney, but he was pled guilty for 2 attempted exploitations of a minor that happened in 2008. And somehow Kevin knows this guy, and this person's still active in the furry community. It says here, tail poof, artist, writer, freedom fighter. He fights for the P's and the LGBTQIA+ UAs. Black Lives Matter. Does that count? Is he like Hispanic? What the whatever. He's his little tinks. That's what he wants to go by. Dissertation in Messenger's VR dev. He's a trans programmer. We are so. China is just going to roll us up in a carpet. These are our developers. We have convicted furry transsexual. No exaggeration, writing all our code for us. Meanwhile, China is just like cracking the whip. She, her, Sergal mom, astronomer. Anyways, associated with Kevin, and Kevin says that he had an interaction with them. This person says, I'll give you the benefit of a doubt since you follow a certain person, so here you go. You should be informed about tail poof. And then, married? No way. So this is like someone at the Tranch now? No, wait. Okay, so this don't give up skeleton gray is true, is married to tail poof. And Kevin Gibes is friends with them somehow. And says that you do realize convicted doesn't mean a person actually did anything, right? Get your transphobic bootlicking out of my mentions. So he responds to this, pled guilty of 2 counts of attempted exploitation as a minor as literally didn't do nothing. Good boy, never would hurt a fly. Just because he pled guilty to children, or attempting to children, I guess, based on this. I guess he got caught in like a 2008. That's about right for all those like justice things on TV. He got caught in like a sting operation. Just because he attempted to seduce a child doesn't mean that he actually did anything wrong, according to him. He called it laundering, because what you do, all these like. There's people cannot associate with the forum, right? There's like a politician. I don't even have notes on this, but there's a politician who came out and said something like, "Oh, you read the Kiwi Farms? I go there to read up on transgender news," and they had like actual news articles written about how this politician name dropped the Kiwi Farms, and it's a woman that uses the website for one reason: to learn about things that you cannot learn about anywhere else on the internet, which is transgender shit. Not extremism at all, to be in a part of a community, a sub-community on the forum, to talk about shit that is a problem for women that you cannot talk about anywhere else. Yeah, it's like I don't even want to name them, because if I name them on this show in a positive way, then they're in for even more shit. So someone out there said this and it caused a fuss. But what happens is because so many people who are, woke, they have clean reputations and shit, use the site for information. Information from the site ends up in a bunch of different like news sources that are considered reputable, even though they're primarily sourced from the forum. And Kevin called that laundering, and I like that. It is. You're taking all this dirty laundry that we have, and you're laundering it to be something that can be presentable on your advertiser-friendly bullshit platform. It does frustrate me how much credit we lose out on because people can't even like say, oh, by the way, I took this from the Kiwi Farms. Yeah, this whole hour-long documentary that I put together, half of the shit that I'm reading, I literally just got from one place. Like, they don't even bother to say that. The only person I remember, well, there's a couple people, but I remember PewDiePie sourced the forum for some stuff related to BetterHelp, and that's like the most prominent we've ever been used as like a referral for anything. And it endears me a lot to people when they give credit to the site, because it's not fair how much effort people put into collecting information, for the forum, and then they're completely, ignored. People just steal the shit that they found and that they archived and that they put together, and they just like pass it off on their bullshit commentary channel without a word to where they got it from. Just Cecil and Toad McKinley both did them too. PewDiePie has. But mainstream Time Warner publications won't. In fact, a CNN reporter messaged me, and I'll see if I can find the email real quick. CNN emailed me. It's a genuine email from WarnerMedia.com. And she asked, "Hello, my name is Claire Duffy. I'm a reporter with CNN Business. Online extremist researchers have identified Kiwi Farms as one of the platforms that had been used to distribute the video of Saturday's mass shooting in Buffalo, as well as the writings purportedly done by the shooter. Wanted to see if Kiwi Farms has any comment on that, or if the platform has done anything to restrict the spread of that content. Thank you, Claire." To which I reply, "Hello. The video originated from Twitch.tv, a subsidiary of Amazon. I assume if it's safe to air through Jeff Bezos' platforms, it's safe to host. Thanks, Josh." And surprisingly, that quote has not been used in any CNN publication to my knowledge. But they did quote me on this. I think it was the Guardian quoted me on this, but they didn't even. It just says they quoted this part that we are, quote, an American company. The United States has laws, blah blah blah. They didn't actually say Kiwi Farms anywhere in the article. They like referenced us indirectly. It's crazy. I feel like I said in the forum thread that if I was anyone else, I might get a big head over the fact that people are literally afraid to say the name of my stupid ass drama website. But anyways, Kevin Gibes on a alt account says, "Not into baby fur whatsoever, but the shit that they get from newly legally able to drink aged terminally online furries is ridiculous. But it's, bitch, how's that?" Oh, wait, let me try this again. It's written in like Twitter retard. "But that's, bitch, that's two consenting adults. And when it's consenting adults, it's no longer my business or anyone else's. It's pretty weird and embarrassing, the shit we get, lol." Oh, so Kevin is the baby fur, and this just replying to a honorary baby fur defender. Yeah, God, who could imagine why people just turning 18 would look at baby fur shit and think, wow, that's disgusting. Could it be that they haven't been groomed yet? They haven't been exposed to it enough on Discord to be used to seeing pictures like that? Could that be why? Okay, and this is Kevin's continuation of his fight to get his passport changed to female. And he complains that on the instructions for changing the gender marker on your U.S. passport, they mention that they can't guarantee the change will be respected in other countries. And I'm just wondering what the f that even looks like. Says here you're an F, but we say you're an M and therefore question marks. Like, I understand why they have to say that to some extent. The new rule where you just put MF or X without any documentation proving you're allowed to isn't done anywhere. But it's just a letter. Who's going to do what when they supposedly refuse to accept it? I can answer this, actually. If you go to a country that is concerned about the welfare of their children and you show them a passport and you say, "Hi, I'm a woman," they're going to think, "Sir, this document says that you're supposed to be a woman, but you're clearly a man, so we're going to turn you away at the border because your documentation does not match up what we see with our own two eyes right in front of us." And then he's arguing about Peter Coffin, but I don't care about that. And this is the latest picture. So just imagine your name is Abdul, and you're in Pakistan, and this lovely creature hands you a passport that says female, and you're just staring there with that Tucker Carlson face of like disbelief, where you're thinking like, wait a second, do I let this in? Do I let this in? Is this a woman? It says F on the passport, but I just see a man. What do I do? And then he has to do the finger thing with the guy sitting next to him, and they start jerking at each other. I'm like, what do I do? The document in reality are completely incongruous. And he's like, We have to call in our supervisor, and then the federal police agent comes in and looks at it and says, do we want to deal with this? Do we want to deal with the paperwork of turning this around and having to put them on a different plane back to the U.S.? That's the conversation that gets had when you go to a country that hasn't been completely mined by the West yet. And that's the Tranch update. I think there was some stuff from the other people on Tranch, but Kevin is the real breadwinner here. I guess actually, you know what? I'll just show a picture of the Tranch, a little bit of an update, because apparently they've been doing work on it. Let's see. So this is a picture of them out in the field, and this is a picture of their living situation. Yeah, it looks like radio equipment just out in the middle of nowhere. Oh no! There's literally like, they picked like the worst possible. And this is just the animals just laying out in the field, but there's no grass. Like they can't graze out there because it's badlands. They picked like the shittiest part of Colorado to set this up. And those are dead generators that they just have stacked up. That's what that's for. So that's your Tranch update. This is where this is their plan to get away from transphobes. They're setting up a utopia where they live in perfect harmony with animals. A Tranch update, surprisingly. I haven't talked about the Tranch in a very long time, but I do have an update for the Tranch, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Just give me 1 second to pull up a video that I downloaded, assuming that I can find it. Actually, you know what? Can I open this with VLC first?
I call him Mr. Kasner, keeping it nice and formal.
Kasner? Is that German?
It's Jewish.
So, he's Jewish?
Yeah, Dale, he's Jewish.
There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself.
I laughed out loud when I heard that. I have that clipped. I'm trying to find the other one. Aha!
We're in Custer County, Colorado, a western rural part of the U.S. where almost 70% of residents voted for Donald Trump.
I think it's a fear of the unknown.
In March, armed intruders trespassed onto the property. It prompted the ranchers to arm themselves to prepare for any future attacks.
So that's up. This is my home, and you defend your home.
But even at the remote land clear of danger, Penny is taking all measures to ensure safety. Conservative lawmakers in many states have recently pushed a slew of anti-trans bills targeting the youth's access to gender-affirming healthcare.
I mean, it was directly because of the tipping point that was the Trump administration. Just like the last administration, this administration is doing nothing.
As the ranchers travel through town daily, they're cautious about which businesses to interact with.
This place, you'll never go. Where is the place here?
They've got a Blue Lives Matter. Yeah, that's one of them I'm going to.
One car would follow, one car would wait. And that went on for about a week until it escalated to them coming onto the property.
You're moving, and when you're stopping. That's enough to get you to start doing drills like this. Like, hey, this is our life now.
Are you prepared to do this drill anytime?
Any time of day, any moment. We have our vests. Moving! Cover!
could get real cool real quick if people just stop trying to kill us.
This is a video trailer by UVB76, one of the users in the Tranch thread. Thank you very much. That's very cool. Thank you, UVB. Very cool. Also, thank you to Temperance for giving me some notes about this. I don't follow that thread, but it's a big fan favorite on the forum. So just an update, if you don't remember, the Tranch is a alpaca farm out in the middle of the badlands of Colorado. They're not very successful. They're a bunch of transgender people who live a tactical lifestyle without utilities in the middle of fucking nowhere. The animals are allegedly poorly cared for. I talked about all this on the Tranch stream, which you can still find an archive of in some places on the website in particular. If you go to Spotlights, it's all there. So just an update on how they're doing out in the badlands of Colorado. According to Paul, who is one of the members, he has access to the bank account, and he says, looking at the $9 in the Tranch bank account, welp, glad I still don't work there. So they have literally no money. And this is after that they launched a GoFundMe last winter to raise money for the alpacas, because as it turns out, in the badlands of Colorado, while you may not get much water or grass, you do get a lot of snow. So the Tenatious Unicorn Ranch, which is the Tranch, asked for some help. They asked for, I think, $10,000, and they got about $3,000, which is not enough for even the animal feed. So in an operation like this, typically you would have money coming in, but wool is not a very good commodity. Even alpaca wool from an organic Tranch range in California does not make that much money. And to increase their income, they have added more animals to their farm, which is not that great an idea because they're on a 32-acre plot in the Badlands, and as the name would imply, the Badlands does not get that much grazing range. And when you put too many animals on a single plot of land and you don't rotate them or anything, then you end up with a big desolate wasteland full of shit. So things are not going too well in the Tranch. Somebody noticed that silently 2 people were removed from the About Us page, Paul and Sky. Paul being the one who posted some tweets that were informative about their financial situation. And you can just see on the About page how they were just removed from it, like a Joseph Stalin painting. Very lazily, by the way, because it kind of breaks the template, the way that they were removed. Then, over here, Paul put out another. Paul's name is Collared and Armed, which is very disturbing. He was the one that had the muffin top in the shooting video. Collared and Armed said, I still remember telling the trans mask fellows when they joined the ranch that it was a safe place for folks with dissociative identity disorder. I wish I had a clue how wrong I was. It wasn't even safe for me. So I don't know who he's talking about, but apparently a couple women who identified as men wanted to join, which probably would have been a disaster with these horny, degenerate fuckheads living there all together without anything to do because they're out in the middle of nowhere. They said that they partnered up with a different group, the Oglala Lakota, to try and make their ends meet, and that's not going well. Their GoFundMe for their mutual for their fundraiser, the Oglala Lakota, got 7.6K out of 50K to help their ranch. And it was seen in one of their videos that on the blackboard back there, there are notes about drywalling. So they're starting to do like construction work to make ends meet. But they have notes here about their bills. $2,500 due for tractor schedule, $5,000 due for hay, $1,600 due for mortgage, and then it has a note there: sign up for government benefits, underline. So their new tactical plan to keep their special military operation going is to ask the federal government for assistance and survival because they can't feed themselves or pay rent or their animals. So
glad to see that that's all going very well. It is speculated, because not only because of this, but of the three that remain, there is Kevin Gibes, Bonnie, and Penny. And Bonnie and Penny, the other two, are currently fighting, I believe. Oh, and Penny's mother. I think Penny's mother. One of their mothers are fighting over the property. So there's like a property dispute about what's going on. And just trigger warning: look away if you're don't want to see animals in poor conditions. This is a picture from the Tranch. You can see that the animals are very dirty. They have ducks, which are waterfowl in like a desert, which is just heartbreaking to see. They're all dirty and shit. Chicken has to get up there just to get some water. They look genuinely filthy. It looks like an apocalyptic wasteland. These are, I guess, baby alpacas. They look like sheep to me. And they're just kind of out in this field, and it's just full of shit and hay, and there's nothing growing. There is no food whatsoever growing on this land, because it's not only is it the badland, but it is not being taken care of correctly, because they don't have pastures. It looks like there's only one pasture, and they're not rotating. This is a video from them. So they have somehow altered the climate in Colorado, and they are now having sandstorms because they've completely destroyed the turf in that lot, that 32 acres.
Can't see the mountains or the sun.
It's like in Spec Ops: The Line, where there's just like this permanent sandstorm where nothing can go in and out of safely. Very, very amazing. And this is the best part of this entire explanation. On Google Images, if you go and find their property, you can see the boundaries of the lot because it is destroyed and there is nothing but dirt, and you can see the turf everywhere else except on their property. You can see the ecological damage that the Tranch has put on the planet from space. Satellites can pick out how up this is. That is unbelievable. That is just unfathomable. Really just goes, I don't know. I'm not gonna be sex. I'm not gonna be trans misogynistic because I'm on YouTube and I don't say such dirty things. But I hope this doesn't reflect poorly on all trans people. Just these trans people decided to start up a farm without any idea of what they were doing and completely destroy the property and the welfare of like 200 plus animals at this point. Not all trans people, folks. We got to keep an open mind. Here's a Tranch update. A general Tranch update. A nice little Tranch update. They decided to go out and the animals. People making fun of them for not paying attention to the animals. So they go out and they just
Hi, Mama. How's your little one doing? Hi. Hi, little baby. What are you doing? What are you doing? Who's a good baby? Hi. You are so cute. So cute.
Poor that alpaca looks afraid of this. It's like, what is this? Is this a man or a woman, Mama? I can't tell. Run! They're not llamas, I think. They're alpacas. They are alpacas, right? No, I'm not talking about Ezra Miller. I just want to show the an alpaca. Oh, wait. Wait, hold up. Instant replay. Listen carefully, chat.
Alright, come on, Mom. Alright, come on, Mom. Alright, come on, Mom.
I don't think that the alpacas are appreciative of the shrooms abducting the alpaca baby. They're definitely this is what happens when you come out to turf alpaca territory. They'll start spitting at you. There is an update with this. Paul, one of the people involved in the Tranch, broke their tooth, or penny as they're sometimes referred to, depending on who you ask. The eternal Penelope says, I just broke a tooth, one of the last ones on my eating side. Now I can't eat solid food, but it has to spit. Now I can't eat solid food, but listen, teeth are a luxury product that are totally frivolous, so it's really my fault for wanting to eat this country. Now, you can usually preserve your teeth by brushing them, but I guess if your teeth fall out of your head, it's the government's job to pay for it. By the way, in case you want to know, this is what his teeth look like. Now tell me, chat, do these look like the chompers of someone who takes dental care of their body, who deserve the government to pay for their teeth when they fall out of their head? I don't think so, chat. And here we have a Tranch update requested by Temperance, or not by Temperance, but by, I think, 01. The Tranch has had some mishaps with their buildings, with their Tranch. Their Tranch is down bad. A pipe has busted. I believe that they set up their plumbing themselves to save money. And now that the pipes are busting, they need help to repair them. So they're asking for $10,000, and they are encouraging people to donate more than $20,000 so that you can enter into a raffle to win a handmade meat cleaver. That is right. If you would like to win a handmade meat cleaver, you can go ahead and enter into this raffle. Now, I am not a metal worker. I'm not a smith. I'm not a knife maker, but I know a badass looking meat cleaver when I see one. And if you get this, if you donate $20 to the Tranch to fix their pipes, and you win this meat cleaver, you'll know every time you you cut meat that you're using a sanitary, safe, well-made tool and are supporting trans people everywhere. I'm tempted. There's a joke. There's some kind of joke to make, and there being a transgender ranch, and a meat cleaver. There's some joke there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I may be banned on the spot for summoning those words. Looks like a horror movie prop. Yeah, a little bit small for that though. Just big enough for for specific other functions though. All right. Oh, and somebody there among this, by the way, I would like to point out that they actually made a little bit of money. They got 37 donations, $2,000. God, there's so much money to be made in being trans. I have a vague preponderance for everybody in chat. If you're a lawyer, let me know this. What are the odds of being arrested for fraud for setting up a fake trans sona and then making a GoFundMe for some bullshit trans cause and setting a lofty goal of like 10,000 Canadian dollars? If I made like 90,000 Canadian dollars doing this for some bullshit, is that illegal? Do I have to cut off my to make $90,000 from generous trans donators on the internet? Zero risk. 100% and 0%. I'm getting a lot of mixed messages here from chat. Trune out? That's not truning out. That's the point. Is that it's just the trans sona that nobody knows about that injects itself into the trans community and then makes a GoFundMe anonymously for various contrived reasons. For instance, I said my parents won't let me transition, and I am very sad about this, and I need $90,000 for new homes. And then is that fraud, chat? I'm asking. It's a 47% chance. Okay, you're telling me that I won't get prosecuted. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is that illegal? Time to commit jurors to the asylum. I might have mentioned this last stream, but here's a follow-up to it. Kevin Gibes, also known as Trans Salamander, made a tweet on the 29th of August saying, "My new," and this is an actual quote, this is not fake. "My new vaginal canal is going to be partly made of alloderm, which is made of the sterilized tissue from human cadaver skin, which is so cool and cyberpunk, ? Which means that even if you die, the will harvest your skin and like blend it into a sterile mix and then spray it on to heal their neovagina. I'm sure that a lot of people like this got a lot of traction, this tweet that he made, because it's just so viscerally disgusting that you can't help but feel nauseated reading it. I'm sure that like this actually inspired people to take their names off the donor list, and I'm considering taking my name off. Like my driver's license says I'm an organ donor. I'm considering taking it off, and I'm wondering, like, at what point, like, surely at some point people are going to be fed up with this. Like, oh, we don't have any troops for our country because nobody wants to serve in our dead gay military. Like, U.S. recruiting was 25% below objectives. And this is during a time when you have a hot war with Russia coming up, potentially, and a hot war with China. So we have two big enemies. People should be feeling really patriotic and like, I want to, defend democracy abroad. I want to like serve in the military. Recruiting is lower than it's ever been, ever. So that's one thing. People aren't serving in the military voluntarily. People are probably going to stop being organ donors if there's a fear of your skin being used in a neovagina, or your body being blown up by the Department of Defense in a weapons test, which is a thing that happens, or your uterus being harvested for a transgender person to give birth to a baby. Like, when we start doing that stuff, like, the fabric of society is just going to completely fall apart. People are just going to withdraw, and that's a good thing. I'm for societal collapse. Just give it like a year or two. I have to get my land and my chickens and my microchipless truck and a creek, and then the bombs can drop. Just give me a bit. I'm not done. I'm not ready. I have to get more silver too. I have to get more silver. I only have like a couple, like I think like 2 kilograms of silver in loose change. I still haven't figured out a way to get coins yet. Whatever. He follows this up, by the way, people complaining about him harvesting human flesh for his neovagina, and he says, his second neovagina, by the way, he's already got the am hole, but the am hole is disgusting. I did a thread or a video about the Tranch, and I've shown everybody in my audience the neovagina already. But he's getting a second one because the first one is so bad looking, and he has this to say about people being upset that he's getting a neovagina made out of human flesh. TERFs are losing their shit in my mentions over the idea that their skin, if they're organ donors, could end up in alloderm, and some of the alloderm might be used in a neovagina. Even though they sterilize it pretty thoroughly, my own skin replaces it over time. Let's be real though, none of the TERFs are organ donors. Even if alloderm didn't exist, they'd be horrified at the thought that a trans woman might get a heart transplant from them or something. I'm a retard, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that women and men cannot donate organs to each other. Am I retarded for thinking that? I'm pretty sure that because of the chromosomes, you can't donate cross-gender at all, no matter what. How retarded am I for thinking that? Because that's what I believe for some reason. I could be completely wrong about this. Honestly, with how much they just immediately assume I have anus skin in my badge, I should start saying the same thing about their vaginas since it's equally true. No. You are retarded, says Awarmo Pinkus. Mostly yes, says gangster computer god communism. I don't know, says Shapes. Thank you for your input, Shapes. You're a retard they need to match. Sounds logical. You're retarded. They can. Okay, so I am retarded. That's okay. We're all a little retarded. Even Alex Jones, who's a genius. I think post-op, weird to say as a revision, and I'm already post-op and I can't think of a better phase. So post-op, I've never heard of a second neovag. That's so wild to me. Really can't overstate how much alloderm isn't that and can't be that, but saying it will be satisfying. I can literally see society die in real time. It's weird to say. But I really feel that when I read shit like that, I'm just like, why would I ever want to do anything for anybody ever again? I would literally rather help black people. I can say that. I would rather have my organs go to black people, even though they legitimately can't receive the organs, than to the Troon shit. I wouldn't want to give my testicles to like a weirdo autistic woman who draws like
Sonic the Hedgehog inflation art and considers herself a man. I would rather black people have my liver than Elliot Page. Is that bad? That's just how I'm feeling, chat. I feel like I have more in common with a because I remember one of my last things I saw in the U.S. was I went to Mississippi for fireworks because not even Mississippi. Here's the fun thing about Florida: fireworks are banned. Anything that flies as a firework is banned. So that means like nothing that comes up off the ground, nothing that shoots up into the sky and explodes, none of those things you put into the tube and you light the wick and it shoots up. None of that. That's all banned in Florida. However, it is not banned in Alabama. So you can take a hop, skip, and a jump 30 minutes west of Pensacola to Alabama, and as soon as you cross that border, there will be a giant firehouse or a fireworks warehouse. Massive warehouse, completely by itself, isolated on the side of the highway. Giant warehouse of fireworks that you can buy whatever you want. So every year, it is traditional for everybody in Pensacola to take a nice long drive over to Alabama to the warehouse to stock up on fireworks to light up so that the police can complain that you bought illegal fireworks, and then promptly ignore them because they don't really care. This is a true and honest Florida tradition, which if I lived in Florida, I would pass on to my own children. I would teach them the way of the great pilgrimage to Bama, to get to Mobile, Alabama, to get some fireworks for a proper 4th of July. But I went there, and of course Alabama is a very black state, and you go to the firework depot, and there's black people, and they're buying fireworks, and they're gonna have a good old-fashioned 4th of July, good on them. And I just remember, like, this is one of the last things I saw before I went to Ukraine, because I left like the week after or the week of 4th of July, and we're stocking up on fireworks, me and my mom and her friends. And there's a black guy and his son, and they're spending time together, and they're picking out fireworks, and they got a big old cart of 4th of July fireworks. I remember thinking, that's wholesome. That's wholesome. If we had more complete nuclear black families, there would probably be less horrific violence in the United States. I feel more, definitely 1,000-fold, I feel more connected to that father and his son than I do to weirdos like Trans Salamander or Luke Roberts. I feel nothing for these people. I would donate literally nothing to save their lives. That was my 4th of July story. Yeah, lots of coping. He was celebrating with the Sightstead, by the way. Random tweet. I can't wait till I get to my crone stage where I can start casting curses on cis people for minor inconveniences. I just don't like them. I don't like the stupid shit they say. Simple as, chat. Anyways. That's right, I am Italian. I am a POC. I'm trans. I'm not even trans. I am 25% North African, also known as Italian. And you know what's especially shocking is that my family is from Naples. It's from the southern part of Italy, which is effectively North Africa. If we're being honest, chat, since the day, Carthage, Delinda S was a long time ago. Naples, that is where the OG homies, OG POCs live. Unsubbed. Big Snood. The Africa part of Italy. Yeah, exactly. Rome had African colonies, but now Africa's got colonies in Rome. Well, turnabout is fair play, Chad. Oh geez. So I did a whole stream about the Tranch, and I shed a tear for the alpacas because they are probably the cutest animals I've ever seen. Someone actually begged me to let me pull this up actually if I can find this real quick. Someone begged me to show a picture of a quokka on my stream, and I may do that right now if I can. There it is. So someone asked me, Shlomo Sheckelstein XL asked me to show this picture of a quokka says it is the cutest animal on earth. Embodied optimism, he said. I disagree. I think alpacas are still cuter. I know these things are really cute and people love them, but I like alpacas a lot. So, which brings me to sad realization that many of the alpacas in the Tranch are dead. Bonnie, one of the people I talked about during that stream, has confirmed on Twitter that they helped bury 30 to 50 alpacas in 2 years at the Tranch. The biggest chunk was receiving 90% in the 90 plus in the winter of 2020, but they mostly died as the following spring rolled around. If you do not know, interesting factoid about alpacas is that they are not like other animals. They are exotic animals. You have cows, you have chickens. Those are your maybe even ducks. Those are your typical animals that you would see on a farm. Alpacas are exotic. They are camelids. They are related to camels. They are not typically kept on a farm in the United States. So if you want to have someone look at your alpacas because they are sick, you have to find an exotic veterinarian who specializes in camelids. That costs extra money. So when you are a bankrupt ran organization, you shouldn't go for the harder animals only and as your first animal, because chances are there's going to be problems. You're not going to be able to afford their health care. You're not going to be able to afford a camelid veterinarian out in the middle of Colorado. And it appears that instead of doing any research or preparing for the task of taking care of the lives of, a bunch of livestock that should in some way enrich your life in return, they decided to just go in balls deep, as they do, without consent, perhaps by accident. It could be a consent accident. And as a result, they have had to confirm the existence of alpaca mass graves. There were holes dug on the 6 people saw pictures of on the, like in the background of Tranch photographs, like on the 6th page of this thread. And someone said, I work on a farm. That hole is not like a foundation for some other building. That is a hole for burying dead animals in. And it seems like they were correct all along, that those were in fact mass graves for the alpacas because they did not have the resources or intelligence or wisdom to take care of them. Which has led to people calling the Tranch Alpacashvitz. I have also heard the name Alpakau, like Dachau, I think is how you pronounce the concentration camp actually in Germany. Most people don't know this. Auschwitz was in Poland. All the extermination camps were identified by the Soviet Union on the Eastern Front. No death camps were identified by American or Allied troops on the Western Front. All the bodies that you see in those are typhoid victims because they were not able to get medicine to the camps when the Allies were bombing the infrastructure. So we must rely on the Eastern claims that those were death camps. And we must rely on Bonnie's claims that Alpacashvitz was a alpaca death camp. Interesting. I think that's it. People just wanted me to shit on the Tranch. It is sad that in the hubris of these troons that they decide, yeah, I can be a farmer. I can just go ahead and if cishats can do this, I can do it too. Oh, alpacas are cute. They're so cute. We can make a cute alpaca ranch and we'll use them for merchandise and shit, and we'll make that big money. And so show the cishats that troons can do it too. And then within the first year, they're burying half of their cattle in a mass grave because they, like with many decisions that they've made, such as cutting off they did not think what they were doing through. Very sad, very sad. But alas, we live in a society, chat. I want to talk about the Tranch. I did a video a while back about the Tranch, about what we've come to call Alpakau, the alleged burial of 6 million alpacas in the Colorado deserts, a strip of land which has been so thoroughly thrashed by overpopulation of alpacas that you can literally see photograph images of this parcel from space because it is completely ruined. No, not a pack of wits, a pack how. Like Dachau, but with alpacas. Bonnie, who I believe is one of the founding members of the Tranch, has announced that, quote, there have been some major developments within the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch, colloquially known as the Tranch, and I think a solution can be found. It is my understanding that animals are currently in the process of being rehomed. She did not clarify if rehome meant actually given away to people who want alpacas or being buried in a hurry to cover the evidence of their crimes as they prepare for a withdrawal from the area. That remains to be seen. That will be decided at a trial at a later date, perhaps in southern Germany. And she continues saying, I hope that further talks will bring about the dissolution of the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch and that peace will come to those harmed. In a reply, someone named Nova Cypher replies saying, does the ASPCA or any other animal welfare organization just not care about how these poor alpacas are being treated? Bonnie replies saying, I have contacted the Colorado Humane Society. I'm going to try the Department of Agriculture next. I'm working on having the animals examined before they are rehomed. But once they leave the property, they are leaving behind a great deal of forensic evidence. I know where to exhume. So Bonnie, who is the lead prosecutor in the Alpacaburg trials, will be exhuming the bodies that the Tranch thinks that they have cleverly hidden from investigators. And we'll be applying this information where applicable under international law. This is a post from the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch saying, hey y'all, as efforts to ramp up the move to our new location, we have closed the online store temporarily. You can still get merch if you stop in and visit, but with all the chaos of a move, we don't want to get behind on orders. We will open back up midsummer. I think that Bonnie does reply to this and says, keep in mind, and here they are undermining the efforts of them continuing to sell merchandise. Bonnie replies saying, keep in mind that if you plan on buying more merch in the future, that it will not be going towards housing trans people or feeding a herd of animals. This is what appears to be a Telegram or Discord message saying, they're moving. They have the plan of giving up the herd, going into more farming on Penny's parents' land, giving up the housing thing, but still doing shutouts and stuff like the indigenous people stuff. If they can get back into housing, great. If not, oh well. Penny has expressed her frustration that housing had been a mess and that they want to do agriculture for weed and farmers markets moving forward, which is a less destructive endeavor. I would imagine if you're going to go into agriculture, as someone who's never done agriculture, maybe start with a plant. Maybe start with like a kitchen plant. If you can have a plant on your desk that doesn't die, then you can start looking at like tomatoes and stuff. And then if you can manage to have a bunch of tomatoes and those don't die, then maybe you can try a chicken. And then if those don't die, you can try something bigger. I think it's a bad idea to go for exotic camelids immediately, even though they are very cute. I can imagine why you would do that if you don't have any forward-thinking abilities whatsoever. Basil plants, exactly. So, in reply to Bonnie, I believe, Elena Minagari replies saying, hey, I'm assuming that they're a polycule. They're one of those people that has like a headmate thing going on where they pretend to be schizophrenic, because I think they have multiple personalities listed in their name. But this person replies saying, these people reply saying, I have been to the Tranch multiple times. The animals are not being abused. The Tranch, however, is being forced into a bad situation due to harassment from bad actors. They basically have to move because of this, and are needing to rehome them is due to the bad actors. Nova replies saying, bad actors are responsible for the alpaca graveyard, I guess. Good reply, I guess. And this is the bio of this person. Alana Foxy, a six-tailed fox known as Sylvan Curinzon tutata, a median of the menagerie system, trans male to female, she, her, demisexual, otherkin, therian, and fae species dysphoric, from Denver, Colorado. You can find them at fayfox.org. I do want to see this. The deceptive site ahead. Attackers on Faithfox may trick you into doing something like installing software. I literally cannot visit this site. My browser is not. Oh wait, I can visit this site. Okay. It's not letting me. Google Chrome is telling me, Josh. Oh wait, I got in. Why? How? I don't understand how this site is listed dangerous. Very strange. It's just like a copy of their Tumblr blog, but they've somehow up their security so badly that Google Chrome is just like, absolutely not. You're not visiting the site. And I believe that this is them. For clarity, this is a. Let me make sure I get it right. Wait, no, this is a differently person. This is exceedingly gay. Wait. Oh no, that is them. This is them. This is the Elena Menagerie. And I'm saying them. I mean that. I don't mean that as a singular they. I mean that as a plural they. This is them. This is a she, her, demisexual, other Cantherian face species dysphoric. Wow, that's a really bad fursuit. That's funny. I feel bad. Like I know these probably take a lot of work to make, but that is really bad looking. Maybe it's just like they wear it bad. There you go. These are the people that are allowed to own alpacas for some reason, I guess. Here's the member of their polycule, by the way. The fox is Elena Tripnocht, the fairy fox, or Sylveon, which is a Pokemon. The mushroom is Miriam Vulpeculi Trinoct, the mushroom fox, or jackal. The lizard is Raisley Serenti, the fairy dragon, swallower of tears. The bunny is Miranda Tripnocht, fey-ish bunny. The flower is Abe no Kuzunoha Kitsune. Yes, that Kitsunoha. Deal with it. So, when I read that and you thought, oh my god, the Kuzunoha? Yes, chat. It is that Kuzunoha, actually. The infinity symbol is Mayokanita Vulpeculi, the divine mushroom fox. And then they also are a computer that says Ariel, artificial intelligence. So not only are they this insane person, they're also an artificial intelligence. All this shit, and they're still retarded. You would think between like the 8 of them, they would be not retarded, especially with the computer in their head. They would be not retarded, but alas, they are a retard. Yes, that's an adult. That's like a 60-year-old man who's been it says 25 years, so he's been in the furry fandom since like 1998, and he's this. Oh, that's funny. I'm so glad we live in such a diverse society. Chat with a Y. Now that I've eaten my gym potatoes, I'm gonna start calling you chat. Weimar. I'm pretty sure that this shit was not happening in the Weimar. Pretty sure that if you walk around the streets of Berlin and be like, "Hi, I'm 8 people in a computer," you would be beaten to death. The German people would instinctively run at you with whatever weapon was closest to them. Purses, umbrellas, walking sticks, and they would just you and right there as you stood, just beat you down like you're a fat man taking a trip to Portugal. There are no Germans. I'm saying that in the Weimar, back when Berlin was the capital of I guess it was still called the German Reich, but it was a much weaker one. I think it was a republic briefly, right? The Tranch is over. The Tranch has fallen. This is an unrelated picture of the fall of Saigon. This is also an unrelated picture of the liberation of Auschwitz. The Tranch has fallen, and the Alpacas have been evacuated to Penny's mother's property. The flock is down from like over, I think 200. They had like 190 at some point, down to 10. There are a mere 10 alpacas that can be seen on camera. The rest are dead. It's very sad, but thankfully it's over. I don't know if these alpacas are also being rehomed or what the deal is with the remaining alpacas. They claim that they gave the alpacas away to other people willing to take them. So I don't know. We are just assuming that the alpacas are dead. And these ones will probably be dead soon too. Never forget the 6 Carillion alpacas. That's right. Never forget. And that's all I have to say about this, actually. Is that this is the alpaca. I'll play this one. It's like 2 minutes. They're just showing the alpacas off. They are pretty cute still. And these ones aren't shaved. I remember they had shaved the alpacas for winter last time. I guess they learned after half of them died that when you take an animal and you put him in a frozen wasteland and you shave off his fur, he dies unless he has like a warm place to stay. So I'm glad they've learned. I'm glad that they had to kill I'm not glad they had to kill like 6 million alpacas to learn that lesson, which should be obvious to anyone. It should be obvious if you Google search, like, when should I shear my alpaca? It should probably say, like, don't shear the alpaca in fall because they need fur. I imagine, I don't know, I'm not a farmer yet, but that's how I wagered the Google results for when to shear an alpaca look like. So, but they needed the money. Like, I think it is common sense. They needed the money, so they just like said like, oh, we'll just shave them. And then they had like a little heating lamp inside the barn, and I'm like, oh, that should be fine. That should be enough. This aspirational farmer says no shave. That's right. And that's it. The Tranch has fallen. It's been evacuated. It's been liberated, and now there's only a couple of alpacas left. The last of their tribe. Also, a small update with the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch. I've announced that Tranch was liberated by libertarian forces, and it's actually been squatted in. It's now an occupied zone. The libertarian squatters have decided to just take up residency within Tranch, or what remains of it. And the most notable thing about this is that, because they announced that they were leaving the compound, so I guess a bunch of squatters in the area just took up residence. The most significant thing was that one of them had left their car, and of course the Tranch was on, or Alpakau or Alpakau as it's sometimes called. I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So they lived off grid, and one of them, I think Bonnie, had a electric vehicle. So they were living off grid with an electric car, and I guess it ran out of electricity because they chose not to remove the electric car from the property when they left it, despite it being a pretty new car. So the car was trashed. It was wrecked, and like the windows were smashed. There was dirt and shit. Like, they deliberately took dirt from the ground and dumped it into the car seats, and I think smashed in the headlights and spray painted graffiti on it and shit. It's real sad what's happened to that car, but I guess when you have an electric vehicle off grid, bad things are destined to happen to it. And that appears to be what may be the final update for the Tranch, as it has been occupied by the libertarian forces and now is being looted. I briefly showed this on accident. Someone went back to, I think Penny went back to the Tranch. I did a whole video on the Tranch. I would tell you to go to Mati.live and watch that if you would want to, but I cannot do that. He's gone back and taken pictures of it. It is a dump. It is a flat out catastrophe, biohazard. There's no way that this is not against some law to have a house that is this big of a dump left in this condition out in the open. Here are a couple videos that I've not watched, but they're just films of the state of the Tranch.
Why do that? I don't understand. I just don't fucking understand people. assuming you're videoing.
Yeah, just getting that rolling on up look. You know, I need my evidence after all.
It's a good song. It's like 90s. Like punk. Nice vibe to it. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Nobody clarifies what it's supposed to be. Was this like a shelter for the animals? What the f is this? It's like a bunch of plywood and rocks. Were they keeping chickens in here?
Delicious insulation inside the mud pit.
The mud pit.
Beautiful.
Then there's this. This is the car, I think.
So, you know, those might not have been bullet holes after all. I think it was just blunt damage. Oh, probably apart from a bottle. Oh, they just ripped this right off. That's cool. Not sure about the dirt. Oh, hey, my helmet. Glad I got my skateboard out of there. I'm sure that would be gone because it was actually kind of nice. Is that a lunchable? Oh, my shopping bags. I remember sewing those.
Look at the Bernie sticker on the truck. Hell yeah, Bernie Sanders 2016. I hope Hillary Clinton doesn't steal the election and completely shit on his face. I want to remind everybody that this is the aftermath of a genuine, real attempt by a group of people to prove to the world that transgenders can do farming. And so they picked a plot of land in Colorado. They put down 100 alpacas. All of them died. The land is now such a wasteland. It is visible from space because the soil is ruined. And all that's left is trash, garbage, and broken dreams. So I think, and this is a critical analysis. It may be a bit cruel for me to say this. However, given the circumstances, I feel like I'm in the right to say this. I believe that the experiment was a failure and the point was not proven. And the result is inconclusive if transgenders are capable of farming at all. I feel like it did not go as planned. Oh, okay. So what they've done, in case you're wondering, is they have relocated to a new piece of turf that they intend to completely and totally ruin. Oh, it has a little creek and everything. It's really pretty. I already talked about Ricada getting into a fight with enemies. This is not want to load at all. They're the surviving alpacas. After being released from Alpakau back into the world, they don't know what to make of it. It's been so long since they've seen green. They're so used to the bombed out rebels of the death camp, of the tranny death camp. I wonder how long it will take for them to ruin this. If you look, I think some of the alpacas are gone. I'm counting 6 alpacas, 3 goats, and 1 sheep. For reference, they arrived at Penny's family home with 10 alpacas, 5 goats, and 1 sheep. Jen confirmed this in an interview. Then there are 2 white goats, gave birth to 2 kids, each putting the goat total at 9. So there are 4 alpacas and 6 goats missing. I doubt they suddenly all died, but they were just sold or given away. I hope Penny gave them away after realizing the herd size was unsustainable for his 5-acre property. 5 acres with a creek. That's pretty good. I wish I had parents that could just gift me bounties of land with running water and animals on it. Are you guys taking bets on how long this is going to last? I don't know. I don't think they're going to actually try to do sustainable ranching. It's just going to be like they're pets at this point. They just exist to poo. Mass grave soon. That's your Tranch update. The alpacas are now on property that has grass, and there's only 5 of them left. Down from like, I think, didn't they start with like 200 or some shit? They started like with like an absurd amount of alpacas, and now they're all dead or given away. And finally, this is a breaking news. I will not watch all of this, but Vice, for whatever reason, put out a YouTube video talking about the Tranch, and the title of this documentary they put out is "Trans Communities Are Fighting Back Against Violence," and they decided to feature 2 people to portray the trans-resistant movement. One of them is Keffals, a drug addict, and the other is the Tranch, a organization which murdered 200 alpacas and is now completely defunct. So I kind of want to skip to this part. Now, this is not related to the Tranch, but this is when they start talking about the forum.
Find it on the internet. To be left alone. So like, how do you
think about this? Is that the narrator? Where is the narrator? You guys show me the narrator. And he's sitting down doing the interview. Oh my god. Look at that guy's neck.
To keep that balance.
I'm really glad that you're prepping a gun.
Show me that guy's neck. Look at it. It's like a foot long. It's like he's been stretched out by like an Indian or by an African ring thing, like an African woman. This was about a full year after it was worth publishing. I don't know. I guess they're kind of ramping up their drop Kiwi Farm shit again because we're very much not dropped right now. The Tranch is officially up for sale. If you don't mind living on an alpaca burial ground where approximately 6 million alpacas have died and been unceremoniously buried, then you can live in Colorado on, was it 49 acres for $309,000. A man has gone through, Brave Realtor has gone through with a giant bin and has dumped all sorts of trash into it and has cleaned it up, listed it for sale. And this could be your house. It's I think it was 1,600 square feet. It has a nice alpaca furnace where you can store your own alpacas for mass burial. And it's in Colorado. So if you want it, it's yours for the picking. Never forget the 6 million alpacas. That's right. Alpakau was one of the worst alpaca death camps in history.